Man, I don't know what's wrong with this joint, man. I'm trying to fix this camera. I was troubleshooting. Like when I was in the streets, troubleshooting. I'm trying to fix this joint, but it wasn't working. All right, we're going to spin the block and hit one more thing that I didn't want to hit yesterday because I wanted to observe and see if this was legitimate or not. All right. So we're going to spin the block on yesterday's topic of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. And we're going to talk about something that's pretty crazy. All right. We're going to talk about what I think many people see it, but are not, in my limited observation. Many people see what I'm about to say, but I think they're drastically downplaying the significance of one aspect of this Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef and the actual real victim, if you will, in this thing, I think is going largely overlooked. And I'm actually a little surprised because of sort of the self-righteous morale of people, and particularly the American populace on particular issues. But before we're gonna get into it. Yeah, we're gonna get into it because I feel like people see it, but I'm kind of surprised that I'm not hearing it, at least. And I'm not like everywhere, right? But I watch enough online and I'm seeing people actually do the opposite of what I think should be done in this. But anyway, let's deal with this first. First thing first. Welcome to CNN. I am the underdog, Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them, right? Now, if you are of the Christian tradition such as I am, if you are a fear of the Lordian, a follower of the way, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, then you know as well as I know that we are not to put our confidence in tomorrow. Jesus tells us, let tomorrow worry about itself. James tells us, you shouldn't even say, don't say tomorrow we go here and there. Say if the Lord wills it, we go there, right? Don't even be, so we're not presumptuous about tomorrow, but the day of the Lord, that's a guaranteed day. That day is guaranteed. That's the future. That day is coming. And so if you're a believer, we want to remember the future right there, right there, right there. Remember the future. All right. And we're on the road to 5K. I've been trying to take the channel a little bit more serious over the last month or two or whatever. So we're on the road to 5K, man. So please like and subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Thank you for the super chats. Y'all blessed me yesterday, man. It was like a bunch of super chats, man. Don't think anything, man. Them super chats matter, man. From $10 to somebody gave 100 yesterday, VO. Them joints is dope because, we do this and it takes time away from other things that we do. All right. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, on the road to 5K again, like and subscribe to the channel. It's the underdog, Kirk Kennedy. And if you are believing in Jesus Christ, then you are underdog. I'm an underdog, but we're going to win because we're under grace, right? Okay, I'm reloaded. All right. We're going to spin the block on what we talked about yesterday. So yesterday, I brought up I started talking about when keeping it free will goes wrong, right? When keeping it free will, I hope y'all don't mind. I'm a little hot in here, so I'm going to turn this little fan on to cool me off. So if you hear like a little buzzing or a little something, it's because I'm hot and I need to be smooth and cool so I can give y'all this word, all right? Sound like Rick Ross, I want to give y'all this word. We going to go get the lemon pepper wings and we going to sit back and just do what the big boss does, and we going to talk about Kendrick and Drake the way the boss does it. All right, here we go. Let's have this conversation. All right, so when keeping it free will goes wrong. All right, so we talked about Kendrick and Drake and the beef that was going on. And I think if you're a hip-hop fan, this was kind of legendary, right? If you like the rap music, and we talked about this a lot yesterday, so you can check out that. I'm not going to reiterate everything I said yesterday, but yesterday's video was more about just who shot up Drake's house as a result of this. And I'm not going to repeat all of that. Go check that out yesterday, like and subscribe. We're going to talk about something different today, because there's an aspect of this beef that is largely overlooked. Now, me as someone who grew up in hip hop, as you heard yesterday, I walked us through from the 80s on up, right? I grew up with hip hop. It's the majority of the musical cultural expression from my heritage, right? The other side of it would be DC go-go. Go-go music is a huge, and if you don't know about go-go, I ain't got time to fill y'all in on all that right now. But most cities have their own sort of vibe, right? Or even if a lot of cities have club music, like Baltimore club music is going to sound different than Chicago house music or whatever it is, right? So DC has a brand of music called go-go, which I grew up listening to as well. But rap, what I loved about rap was that go-go, you had to be in a band, and a band had multiple people. You had to have somebody on the congos, which was one of the most important positions in the go-go band. You got congos, you got drums, you got guitar, you got bass, you got a lead talker, and that's somebody who would be almost like the rapper of the go-go band. He would talk to the people and all that, right? But rap, you could just do by yourself. And so instead of trying to find 8 other people to create a go-go band, it was easy to just rap. So I grew up with hip-hop. I grew up with rap. I loved it. I loved the poetic expression. I loved it. And so I've been around for long enough to see a lot of these different beefs in the era of hip-hop change and things that were important, things that were not important, things that used to matter, things that don't matter anymore. I've been through all of that, right? So a lot of that you pick up on yesterday's video. So from a personal perspective, as someone who grew up with the music, I felt like, Kendrick definitely won the battle. And I think he was strategic in ways that Drake didn't anticipate. I think Drake thought that Kendrick has this sort of pattern of putting out music and then disappearing for like 4 years and then coming back. I think Drake thought he was going to make a little diss record response called Push-Ups to Kendrick, and then Kendrick would take too long. He was egging him on and did another song called Tailor Made Freestyle, in which he used an AI voice of Tupac and Snoop, and he was rapping. You could tell it was him because Tupac and Snoop don't rap like that. That was the way Drake rapped. And that backfired. I remember when I saw that, I said to my man C Bizzle, I was like, hey, bro, that's just desperate. It looks desperate. That's going to backfire on Drake because he's too pressed. And when Kendrick drops, he's going to drop. So sure enough, Kendrick dropped Euphoria, and then that did it. And then he dropped another diss right after that called 616 LA. And then Drake responded with Family Matters. And then right after that, Kendrick dropped Not Like Us. So I just think Kendrick showed what a real MC is, the versatility, the skill, and all of that. All right. So in my opinion, I think the songs, if I was on a different channel, I'd break down each song and tell you why what was up. But what I want to talk about today is really what I would call the greatest casualty of this beef. All right. The greatest casualty of this beef. If you've heard the songs, then you should be able to track with me. If you haven't, you don't have to go listen to them if it's not your thing. But I want to talk about the greatest casualty. Now, yesterday I said this. I said that entertainment is America's biggest export. I meant that more in a psychological sense, not like our gross domestic product, not our GDP, right? I'm not talking about that. I meant like in terms of America's main influence in the world is more connected to like entertainment. It's like Hollywood. So even in India, they have what's called Bollywood, Rap music, which started in America, is all over the world. I mean, you can get, one thing that's funny is, so Metro Boomin, who was a producer that Drake used to be tight with, they're no longer tight, he created a beat called BBL Drizzy. And it's a contest that he'll give $10,000 and a free beat to whoever makes the best song using that BBL Drizzy beat. And he's getting, apparently I wouldn't know because I don't know the dude, right? But he's getting a lot of people from all over the world sending in responses to that, right? In all kinds of languages. So hip hop has definitely grown to be the biggest export. Like entertainment is what America does very, very well. And people don't like our politics. They don't like a lot of stuff, our foreign policy. But man, they love our entertainment. They love our movies. They love our music, all of those things, right? When you make it big in America, you've made it. All right, so with that being said, I want to talk about the biggest casualty of this beef. And I remember as I was listening to the songs, I remember being like, that's kind of a wild thought for him to say that. It's kind of a wild angle for him to say that. And so I want to talk about the main thing. One of Kendrick's main angles in this beef, and what I think really was the Achilles heel. It was the thing that took down Drake more than anything else that Kendrick said. I think what we're about to talk about is what really took Drake down. And I'm going to show you this in terms of how people are reacting to this in just a moment. But this idea that Kendrick presented is one that typically the culture, we have a really towards this. In fact, there was a movie, Jim Caviezel did a movie, came out last year, and it was, I forgot the name of the movie. Wow. But it was basically about him rescuing children, like children who had been SA'd, X trafficked and stuff like that, right? Human driving in, trying to drive, but it's too much traffic, right? You know how you gotta talk sometimes, the way these folks make you talk. You gotta talk a certain way, or they hit your channel. But like there was this movie, I forgot what the name of it was. Someone will probably remember in the chat, but he was basically rescuing kids. And in this particular battle, Kendrick brought up this idea that Drake is a PDF file, right? He brought this idea. He brought this idea that Drake is a PDF file, and the way he did it. Now, this is a battle. It's back and forth. The goal is to mock and make the other person look bad. That's just the way it is. And Sound of Freedom. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Rich and VO to the rescue. Thank you. All right. So he brought this angle up, the PDF file. And it was a lot of people, and this is the thing about us, right? Here's the thing. So if you're old enough to remember way before the internet, right? In the 1900s, right? There's always been an infatuation with celebrities. Always. I mean, from back when Shakespeare was writing plays and people wanted to meet the people, there's always been an infatuation with people who are famous. And back in the day, in the 1900s, before technology that we have today, you had little like magazines called like The Inquirer. I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember, like, inquiring minds want to know, like me. There was this, and there was just this tabloid, they called them tabloids back then. And these were like gossip magazines, essentially, that told you about celebrities and things you would never know. So whether it was true or not didn't really matter. People were just excited to know, like, how do my favorite celebrities really live? What do they really like? What do they really do? And then you had shows like Robin Leach's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And then eventually MTV Cribs would show the houses of people who, all your favorite singers and artists and people that you just heard of, and how do they really live and how much money do they have. And there was always this, as media grew and technology grew, we've always gained greater access to people who are famous. And I would say now, this is probably the most access you can have to people who are famous, because you can tweet something and someone like a Kim Kardashian who's super famous could respond to your tweet just because they either liked it or disliked it, right? So this has always been a desire for people to know, how do people who are rich and famous really live, right? And so we've heard these angles before. And recently, like within the Me Too movement and other things that have happened, there's been sort of an exposure. A lot of stuff is happening with Diddy right now. There's been this new wave of accountability for people who particularly have a desire for intimacy with people who they shouldn't, who are too young for that, right? And so in this rap beef, Kendrick introduces this angle. Now, he peppered it throughout, but it wasn't really until he released this song, Not Like Us. And I got to be honest with you. I got to be honest. Just from a hip hop fan, just a person who listens to the music. Listen, I didn't think Drake was going to beat Kendrick anyway, because I personally think Drake, as I said yesterday, Drake is kind of a clown for real. And what I mean is like he's he's really a white Jew. He grew up in a white suburban Jewish household who basically got discovered because he was rapping about things. He could rap, no question, but he was rapping about things that were so atypical of what hip hop was talking about. Same with Kanye West. One of the reasons why Kanye West blew up, two reasons. One, because he made good beats for Rockefeller, Jay-Z and them. But the other reason why is because his content was, people could relate to it. Like, everybody can't relate to the black street struggle. But if that's all you're hearing and you like the vibe and you like this sort of aggression that comes from it, that's what you're listening to. But then you got the dude named Kanye West who comes out with a little tiny backpack on and he's talking about, you know what I'm saying, about dropping out of college and having school debt and, you know, I'm telling you love and awful down. And he just rapping. It's good music and it's talking about stuff like, you know, she couldn't afford a car, so she named her daughter Alexis, you know, just talking about stuff that black people was going through that had nothing to do with the streets. And that's why he was embraced. It was like, yeah, because people go to college and they got debt and they don't want to be, you know, he was talking about that kind of stuff, right? So there's been there's always this sort of idea of like a curiosity towards who people are, what people are, and all this stuff. So over the years, this one thing America has been known for, and I'm doing quotations because I think behind the scenes is not true. I think we've seen that with the Sound of Freedom movie, proved it. Stuff with Jeffrey Epstein has proved that. Now the stuff with Diddy has proven that. Like I remember back in the day when like these two 80s actors named two Corys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. And they eventually, as they got older, would tell these stories of just being abused, you know, essayed in the Hollywood world. And you'd hear all these countless stories, but people just, you know, there wasn't anybody really standing on business to say that, right? So in this particular thing, as I started listening to the songs, and then when Not Like Us came out, as soon as the song starts off like, I see dead people, and he hit his bing, 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 bing. As soon as I heard that, I didn't even hear nothing yet. I said, this joint is going to crank. I already know. And maybe because I like that vibe. I heard the ding, 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 must have owned the beat. And it just, the beat was crazy. It's a typical West Coast beat. But I think what shocked people was that Kendrick doesn't really rap over beats like that. His beats are a little less club oriented and more like contemplative, somewhat methodical, right? Soon as I heard that joint, I was in Colorado. So I was on a personal retreat. I'm in Colorado. I hear that beat drop. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is it. I said, there's no way Drake's coming back from this joint. I don't care what he says. He's not coming back from this. And as I started looking online, everybody was flipping out. I mean, but there was the most memorable line of the whole beef came in this particular song. And the reason why it was memorable because Kendrick had put it out there that Drake apparently likes to entertain girls who are underage. And so he said, he had this one bar where he said, Drake, I heard you like him young. You better not go to cell block 1, right? Because you know, the going story, which is true as someone who's been locked up before, if you go to prison under the guise of you did something to a child, essayed a child, your time in prison will be the worst thing it will be hell on earth for you. That's just reality. It'll be hell on earth. These guys get punished. They get, in many ways, physically beaten. They get abused. I mean, I'm talking about the worst thing. This is why when you get locked up, they always tell you, like, don't tell people what you're locked up for because people will size you up based on what your charge is. And when you go into prison and that's your charge, it's your PDF file, that's your charge, you're going to get punished. You might not even live longer than a couple weeks, but dudes are going to punish you. Remember Jeffrey Dahmer? All them young boys he killed this stuff too. When he went to prison shortly after, black dude murdered him. So that's just the reality. So Kendrick puts that out there, right? And then to mimic something that Drake said in his previous song of Family Matters, he said, I forgot the first half, but he said Drake was trying to strike a chord with something he said. And he said this, trying to strike a chord, but it's probably A minor. And he held it, right? The way he delivered the bar, because you already had in your mind that this is what he's talking about, all right? Because you already had this, he calling Drake essentially a PDF, because at one point he also said certified lover boy, certified PDF file, right? Because certified lover boy was one of Drake's records. He came out with two records ago, I think was his album called Certified Lover Boy. So he was calling him a certified PDF file, right? And saying that the other guys in his entourage are about this life, right? And he said some other things of these. But when he said trying to strike a chord, but it's probably A minor. First of all, the bar was crazy because chord, musical chord, A minor is a musical chord, right? Then you got A minor doesn't have any black keys in it. It's all white keys. And he's basically saying, Drake, you're just a white boy trying to pretend like you with the black, right? But the real reason he said that A minor was you're trying to strike a chord, but it's probably A minor, because he's been telling him that you like to be with a minor, right? So he holds the chord out, A minor. You cannot hear it and understand what he's saying and not be like, oh my gosh, right? And I want to show you this. I want to prove this to you because this is going to make the point of what I think is the biggest casualty, right? So this whole A minor, I mean, I've seen clips of this song. First of all, it's number one on iTunes Music all over in 40 countries. Kendrick has, I think, 3 of the songs in this battle are the top 6 songs in the country right now. Drake has 1. And this song, Not Like Us, is number 1. And I'm talking about in terms of just a song, right? You know, obviously it's rap. It has some cussing and stuff like that. But in terms of a rap song, this joint goes. This joint goes. And I want to show you how people are reacting to this, right? I want to show you this because what I think has happened, I don't think that Kendrick meant to do this. I think this is more about where American culture is more than it's about what Kendrick has done. All right. So I want you to see this. I want to show you some reactions to that part. So we're going to see some people in the club and some different things. So these are just shorts. I want to watch a couple of these with me, and then I'm going to explain to you why I'm saying that this was the biggest casualty. All right. So let me just look at a couple of these shorts. All right. Here we go. All right, so that's just one. Let me show you a different one of somebody listening to it. They was getting crazy in that club.
Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They not.
Now you see what I do smiling because he's making the connection to what Kendrick is saying, the A minor. He's making the connection like, oh, this dude is his wheels are turning. That's why he's smiling like that. Like, oh wow. All right, let's keep going. Look at this.
That fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. That.
All right, I'm gonna show you this. Two more.
That fuck 'em up. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Struck a chord, A minor, A minor, A minor.
That fuck 'em up. Around certified lover boy, certified.
No.
Hey, yo!
Why you trying like ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Jesus Christ! He said
around Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. Wah, 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 wah. That fuck 'em up. Wah, 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 wah. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Tryna strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
Wait!
Not like
Wait!
us. They not
I
like
just
us.
caught that. I just caught that shit. Oh shit. Oh.
So as you can see, that line is going crazy. All right? Look at this. All right, so I don't need to show you anymore. The reason why I'm showing you this is because that particular line was a crazy line, all right? Trying to strike a chord, but we call it A minor, right? And then I mean, it's the song as a song, it's a crazy song, all right? But here's what happens, the biggest casualty of this beef. Drake responds in his song called The Heart Part 6, which is each of the artists took so Drake has these timestamp songs like 4 p.m. in Dallas, 3 a.m. in Toronto. He's known for these kind of songs. And Kendrick has a song series called The Heart, and his last one was Heart Part 5. So because Kendrick did a 616 in LA song, Drake responded with the Heart Part 6 song. Drake completely drops the ball, but he's trying to say he's not a PDF file, and he basically thinks that Kendrick is bringing that up because Drake said his mom visited him, and then he said mother I, and then Kendrick has a song on his last album called Mother I Sober. And in this song, the mom is worried that Kendrick was abused, that he was touched inappropriately by a family member. And when they asked him, was he said he wasn't. They didn't believe him. And the song is about Kendrick finding out that the reason why his mom didn't believe him is because it happened to her when she was a child. So he's processing that. So Drake is saying, oh, mother I. And then he remembers, and Drake says in his song, that Kendrick was confessing that he actually was touched by someone older than him that shouldn't have touched him. And that's not what he said, but Drake made it seem like the reason why you keep pulling this PDF file angle about me is because it actually happened to you, and you're really working out your own struggles by putting it on me. And he even made a bar, something about Mariah Carey has a song, I forgot the name of the song, like Touched by Something. He said it probably sends you into it probably offends you when you hear Mariah Carey's song called Touched by Something, right? So this is the response. So here's the biggest casualty of this beef. The biggest casualty of this beef is this idea. This idea, like, people are celebrating, partying, laughing at a very, very serious issue. Like a couple years ago, people would have been outraged. I mean, even a year ago, people would have been outraged, right? This movie Sound of Freedom was like, Hollywood didn't even want to put it out. They had to put it out on their own because it highlighted a trafficking that's not driving a car, but driving people somewhere in the car. It highlighted an aspect that people just don't want to acknowledge as real. And this is what Jeffrey Epstein, his whole thing, his whole mantra was that, bringing politicians and things to an island that he owned and recorded them with underage people, right? And so the biggest casualty of this Kendrick Lamar Drake beef is this idea, A minor, it's a cool bar, but when you sing it and you're dancing in a club, let me tell you what happens. And this is one of Satan's greatest schemes. Even the Bible says that laughter is medicine for the soul, right? So there are things that we laugh at. The Bible warns us about coarse joking, but laughter is medicine of the soul. even though I think that is a tight bar in terms of just writing and angles, I think A minor is actually coarse joking in the sense that you're making fun of this person and Drake responding back saying and mocking you. Like, say it was true that Kendrick did have that happen to him. The way Drake set it up, it's like making fun of him for having that happen. Do you know how many people's lives have been destroyed because of that? Like, some people have never recovered because of stuff like that, of having something happen to them that was beyond their control when they were a child and so forth. I mean, even someone like Cassie, who opened up a lawsuit against Diddy, Cassie was an adult, but even she felt trapped and people had sympathy from her. But now, because the beat is rocking and it's a battle between Kendrick and Drake and the bar is crazy, everyone's enjoying it, saying it in the club. Hey, man, I mean, the videos I showed, the people were laughing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. What happens is, and this is the scheme of the devil, is he makes humor minimize very serious things. So now this issue that is very serious, that is destroying people's lives, that men who do this go to prison and may lose their lives shortly after going into prison, is now a funny, entertaining, popular bar from a line that is really highlighting a significant reality for the people who have experienced it. And this is the problem that I have. And I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty. When I heard the bar, I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I had to stop and think about, like, oh, man. And then when I heard Drake's response and almost mocking him, like, I thought, like, what about the people who were in the club who've had that happen to them and they hear that song? And now all of a sudden, they see all these people celebrating it. You understand that it's a bar. You understand that. But there is a minimization of the severity of something like that. There's a minimization of it. There's a lot of people that are going through therapy and so many different things because of it. And now it is the most infamous line in a beef between two of the most popular artists in rap music of all time. And the line, I'm telling you, the line that sticks out the most, it used to be when Kendrick said, man, ain't no big three, it's just big me. He said that when in the like that was like the song, that was the bar that everyone remembers. But now it's the A minor. And it's funny when you hear it because it's a punchline. And that is one of the ways that the enemy makes us accept things. I remember years ago when Ellen DeGeneres had like a TV, she had like her own sitcom. And everyone knew Ellen DeGeneres was kind of like a little off. You could just tell. And so on her show, she basically comes out as as the L in the alphabet community, right? She comes out on her show. And the way she did it was she accidentally spoke into a microphone that was really loud and it was funny and people like laughed at it. And I've seen humor make serious sin acceptable. I mean, I'm a funny guy. I crack a lot of jokes too. I do that stuff. And so I've had to learn to be careful because I can use humor in such a way to make people laugh and minimize real sensitivities to things. Like, these are things that Jesus died for. I mean, people who are PDF files, if they don't believe in and repent and turn away from that, when they stand before the Lord, they're going to be punished for eternity, right? But now it's like in one of the dopest rap songs in a long time, in a beef with the most popular artists. And since then, to be fair, since then, there are a number of articles and YouTube channels that are exposing this about Drake, that he does seem to have some affinity for underage girls and having relationships with them to some degree. And then when they become 18, they pop up and, that stuff is wild to me. Now, as a believer, here's what I will say. Here's what I'm encouraged by this whole beef because of what I put at the beginning of every video. I don't look at these things as just what the humans are doing, Kendrick versus Drake. I look at this as God is sovereign and God is exposing some things. I got to give Cat Williams his credit. I'll be honest, I've never thought Cat Williams was that funny, and I still don't. But in his interview with Shannon, I've never watched a stand-up of Cat Williams cover to cover. He's just not funny to me. I've never liked his comedy, his humor. But on that particular interview, he said 2024, everybody's getting exposed. And this was before a lot of things that are being revealed. So I got to give Cat Williams credit. He's saying this coming out this year. So in that sense, as a believer, I'm glad that things are being exposed and brought into the light, because I think we just are so idolize these celebrities, and we and I mean, again, the majority of people are not believers. So I understand if you're not a Christian, I think why would you want to have the life of a Christian? Like, you want to have the life of celebrity, party, riches. Well, you want to have that if you're not. So I get that. But even believers get brought into that, this idea. I was watching believers just, man, like following Andrew Tate like he was the Messiah or something, like get the bag and trying to be like, and I just thought like, man, what are you doing, Slim? Like, you listening to Andrew Tate, you got his words memorized more than the Lord. And that's what you said you believe in. So I don't look at it as just, oh, Kendrick exposed Drake. I look at it like the Lord is just exposing. And I think the Lord is doing it for many reasons, but I think he's doing it for these people to give them a chance to repent. Like, man, this is who you are. This is who you are. I'm exposing you, right? But then also he's showing us like, man, this is your king. These are the people that you really, really look to. These are the people that you really worship and want to be like. This is the industry you want to go in. I love that the Lord is exposing it so that his people can see, like, stop idolizing and worshiping these people. But on the flip side of it, the enemy is always there, right? Wheat and tares grow up in the same field. The enemy is using it to make this a humorous, entertaining. Remember, our biggest export is entertainment. To make this, and this song is blowing up in 40 countries. So every time people hear Drake called that a certified PDF file, and then you hear the A minor, the whole club is just jumping and dancing and having fun with it. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen over time. I think it's already happening. There's going to be a lessening of how serious this is because of how entertaining that bar was and other things, not just him. And I don't think Kendrick meant to do this, and maybe he did. I don't know. But I think we're going to, humor lowers the drawbridge a lot. And I'm already seeing it happening. People are just loving the bar and saying that they're going to be t-shirts that say A minor, all of it. What it's going to do, though, is make it, because it's funny and memorable, eventually it's going to be more acceptable. Watch. I'm telling you, like, it's already becoming that, but it's still not acceptable enough that people just can't do it. But we already accept, like, I mean, listen, let's just be clear, right? This is how you know that this is satanic. How can you say a child, a 6-year-old child, can determine their gender? Right? If you're going to let it, and I'm saying this as a psychological statement, not as one that I affirm or am supportive of, but I'm making a psychological point. If you're going to allow a child to define its gender and take pills to then alter their gender because their physical doesn't match their psychological, then at some point you're going to have to allow that same child to be able to make decisions for their ability to have intercourse or not. It's just, I'm telling you this. I don't affirm or approve of it. I'm highlighting what I think the satanic logic will be that will eventually make the case. You're going to tell a 7-8-year-old kid that they can determine their gender, and now they're required by law to give these kids particular medication that changes that destroys them forever. How much longer do you think you're going to be like, well, how can you let a kid decide that and not if whether or not they're ready to be intimate with someone or not, an adult or not? I mean, I mean, this is a whole rabbit trail that we could go down. There's already organizations out there doing this, trying to justify it. Mark my words. So even though this was trying to expose something about Drake because it's entertaining and it's fun, it's the issue is going to be less serious to people. Like, imagine when, like this is what will happen. I'll never forget this, right? 9/11 happened, all right? 9/11. And we all got off of work early. I mean, I got to work. I've ridden the public transportation. So when I got to work, it was about 8:38 or something like that. The first plane had already hit the first tower. And so I got up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And this lady, Cuban lady, I forgot her name. She was a cool lady, but kind of a serious. She said, where have you been? She said, a plane hit the tower. And I was like, huh? I didn't know. So I go down to the main conference room, and everyone is in this big conference room. It was a big economic consulting firm I was working for. And everyone's in the room, right? And they're watching, and then we see the second plane hit the tower. We were like, oh my gosh. And my boss was like, okay, everyone go home, because we didn't know what was happening. Like at that point, you didn't know what was going to happen. And I remember going home and hearing people talk about it. And so I got back to where my car was, and I was driving home, and I ran into someone that I knew well. And at that point in time, this would have been now maybe 12:30 in the afternoon of 9/11. The last plane hit, I think, around 9:07 or something like that. There were already jokes flying that like something. What was the joke? It was something about 9/11, like you should have known it's 9/11 or something like that. And so I passed this person that I knew that were picking up their child from this elementary school, and that was the first thing that we said to each other, and we kind of laughed. Almost like, and I remember driving away thinking like, oh, this isn't really funny though. Like this is like a serious moment, but we were just able to make fun of it, like laugh at the it was 9/11. But if you were in that building though, in the World Trade Center, and you were on 107th floor, and you found out that there was the pit on the 98th floor, and you're not going to be able to go down, then now you have to make the decision to either burn or jump out of the World Trade Center, and for a few seconds experience flight before you die. It wouldn't have been funny at all, right? I think what's going to happen is you're going to see T-shirts, A minor. You're going to, and when this comes up, people will be like, when someone says it's happened, they'll be like, A minor. It'll be like a joke. It'll be a joke to people. And I'm telling you, we are influenced more by what entertains us than what changes us. And I'm telling you, we are more sanctified by entertainment than we are the Holy Spirit in many ways, in some Christians' lives. And in the world, of course. The biggest casualty of this beef is going to be the reality of the PDF file, how serious we thought it was, to it eventually just becoming a punchline, a joke. And as these stories come out about Drake showing there's genuine concern for him in this area, I think because people are entertained by it, unless people start speaking out like, hey, don't joke about this. Like, this isn't funny. And people have a balance of like, yeah, you know what? It was a good bar, but this is kind of serious. And I'm sure there's some people saying it, but for most, what I've seen is just people being blown away. Like, oh, that was a bar. Like, oh my gosh. And celebrating and dancing and all that. I just think there are a lot of people whose lives have been wrecked because they were with a PDF file. They've been violated. And now imagine that. And again, you can't do everything for people who may have struggled. I get that. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, I think humor allows us to lose sensitivity to serious things because it's funny. And as one who cracks jokes and stuff, I've had to learn to be careful with that. So the biggest casualty of this beef is not Drake or Kendrick. It's all the people who have experienced the PDF file reality. That's a part of their life. They're going to have to embrace it in ways that they may not be ready for, because if they go out and hang out, people are at the clubs and they're just partying with it. And then eventually it can make the idea of it become less and less that big of a deal. You can just start. I remember, last thing I'll say is this. Back in the 90s, the 1900s, Spike Lee had a movie called Jungle Fever. And Jungle Fever was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Wesley Snipes, and he was dating this Italian actress. I forgot her name. And so he was black and she looked white. And the movie was Jungle Fever. It was about interracial dating, primarily between black and white people. I remember when that movie came out, at the time I was dating this white girl named Amy. And one day we pulled up to this Popeyes. And I remembered like being a little bit embarrassed because I was like, man, because everybody, if you were black dating a white girl around that time, it was Jungle Fever. Man, sure enough. Pulled up to the Popeyes, of all places. And I saw this dude I went to high school with his girl. And I ain't really like him. He ain't really like me. So it wasn't no, hey, what's up, man? It was like, you know, we acknowledge each other. But, and then his girl, he was black and she was black. And his girl just said, I got jungle fever. Hey, talk about us. And I just was like, tag, man. Because of that movie, that term jungle fever almost was used to make you feel like you're doing something wrong because you're dating somebody that's white and you're black. A minor is going to be used as a joke to minimize the severity of the PDF file type of reality. And mark my words, it'll contribute to a lack of sensitivity to that area because it's entertaining and it was funny. And that's going to be the biggest casualty of this beef. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just biding my time, trying to get my head done tomorrow. What do I know? All right, let's go to the tape. Let's go to the tape, see what y'all talking about. Let's get it. All right. Yep. Get them likes and subscribes up. Thank you, sir. You constantly bless us, strengthen us with your videos. Thank you, sir. Sound of Freedom, VO. Yep. VO is a gangster. Always gonna get love from me. PDF file is amazing. LOL. Never heard that one. And that's my point, right? That's the point. You're making my point, God. Even though I God is my source, usually, I'm not saying this to mock you. I'm just saying that's my point. It's amazing. It's fun. It's a crazy. Oh, you're talking about the way I'm saying it. Okay, never mind. I'm tripping. Well, I got to say it like that because of YouTube. They'll flag you and all that stuff. So you got to say it like that. This beef is getting weird. Brandon, ain't the half of it, bro. I think you're right, but I think it's getting satanic, right? Where it's just really crazy. Euphoria was a masterful track. Oh, man, what? Listen, man, Kendrick is just on a different vibe. And I think Drake is good at, and he exposed him. Like, even in that song, he exposed him, like going to Atlanta to steal their vibes. Like, that's the problem. Drake will claim Toronto, the sixth god, he says, but he never, what's the Toronto music vibe? Like, it's never been really established. He just borrows from different cultures. So when WizKid and them with the Afro-Caribbean stuff, he's smart. He borrows from that. He goes to Latino culture and makes songs in Spanish that we don't even hear, but he's a smart businessman. But I think he's not really grounded in anything. And so Euphoria you see Kendrick is just grounded in the craft. He's from LA, South Central, so he knows those things. So he said, all those songs were whack to me, but Kendrick was much worse. I guess the content of what he was saying was good according to what people are saying, but I couldn't get past Well, that's a preference thing. I feel you. I disagree with you, brother. I think those songs were all, maybe it was because of who was going back and forth with each other, but I didn't think those songs were whack at all. I mean, I didn't like every single song, but there were songs that I thought were really, really well done. Drake called himself a clown on the Heart Part 6. He said, whoever gave you information was clowns, and turned around and said, yeah. Drake, it was just so, you could tell Drake lost because of that. Because when Kendrick first said that Drake had a daughter, and then Meet the Grams, when he was rapping to his daughter, the 11-year-old daughter that no one had heard about, first thing Drake did was like, can somebody find my daughter and tell her and bring her to me, please? Like, trying to be like, that's stupid. And then he went on Academic Show and was like, man, if I got an 11-year-old daughter, I'll quit rapping and come work for you on your joint, right? Basically saying he's just lying. But then you're going to say you fed him the information. Come on, man. You can't even lie well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, get your lie. Like, have enough. Like, my mother, when I was a kid, used to, when I lied to her, she'd be like, don't insult my intelligence. Like, Drake, stop insulting our intelligence. Or maybe that works for the TikTok gang. When you're a little bit, you've been around some things. I ain't got it. Both said stuff is really sus, but Drake's latest IG post is, I haven't seen it. I don't know what it says. His latest IG post is weird and demonic. I'd have to look and see what that is. There are receipts of Drake kissing a 14-year-old girl. I think she was 17, not 14, but I mean, you know, Drake did a good flip on that, on the hard part 6. Yeah. That line is not okay. Yeah, well said. But here's the reality. The beat and the hook is catchy, right? They're not like us. They're not like, I mean, listen, if you in the clubs and I'm not in the club. So to me, but like when you in the club, That's what you want to hear. They not like us. They not like us. I mean, you getting it in. You dancing. You got a girl in front. You got your drink in your hand. They not like us. It works. It works. And when you put something as serious as that in it, with make it a punchline, it's just, you know what that punchline is doing is punching all the people in the face who've actually had to deal with that and lived through that. Do you also think the celebration is also that Kendrick is exposing Drake for being a fraud? As Kendrick said, yeah, I think so. I think people, like, this is the thing. We're not stupid, right? We all know that stuff is going on, but we just don't know. And then when someone who's in the know, think about think about this. Let's just call a spade, right? Cat Williams' interview, it's about 2 million interviews short of being the highest watched interview on YouTube. Let's just be honest, right? Cat Williams' interview blew up because it was all gossip. He was saying, I'm not saying it's not true. I don't think gossip is necessarily lying. Slander and libel is when you're lying about people. Or slander is more injury. I think libel is more lying, right? Gossip is just telling people's information. But when no one is there to defend that, then it's just gossip, right? You have no idea. That's why his interview blew up. He talked about all these black comics that no one knew anything about, that we don't know, there's nothing. And you think that, it's all true because he's more in the know than I am. A lot of this stuff, the whole Club Shay Shay vibe is just all gossip. It's just, and we just love that. We call it the tea. Girl, let me give you the tea. Even I watch some of these videos. And sometimes I'm watching these videos like, why am I watching a video that's just about gossip? Like, people are going, gossip is a sin that Jesus died on the cross for. So I do think that that's a lot that's going on. So true, it hurts people. Well said. Yes, it hurts people. The jester laughs his way right to hell. 100%. Yes, sir. Way to bring it back home. Thank you. I'm not sure what I said then, but I appreciate it, though. Said, swear Kendrick Lamar, not like us track. Cured my... Man, hey, listen, bro. I don't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? On one level, I'm glad that it's good for you. And if you marry it, hopefully your wife experiences that. But I ain't no song on that for me, bro. Kendrick himself is also exposed. Yeah, it's true, if that's true. But like, no one really cares about that. Like, the fact that no one's even bringing that up is another thing. But so it's just interesting, man. It's 100%. Wow. That A minor joke is very old. People are just hearing it. Yeah, that's true. But in the context of the flow of the song, it's less about if it's that's an old joke. It's more about what's the impact that it's having in the moment that it's delivered, right? There's a lot of comedic jokes. I mean, listen, how many of us have seen like black comedians talk about like stuff like getting beat by their moms versus white people, right? We've heard that joke so many times. But if it's delivered well, if he does it well, if his tone, his delivery and stuff is funny, we'll laugh at that joke like we've never heard it. So the newness of, how old it is, you make a good point, Dre Day, but it's not about how old it is. It's about the impact it had when it's delivered. And in a day and age like ours where things just go viral and stay viral for a long time, and the fact that it's the number one of the charts, the impact of that line, old or new, is really what's at stake here. It's really what's going to really make people's sensitivity to this area drop. Pastor, please give us your top 5 diss songs for me. Ether, Nas, Random Thoughts 3, Shaolin. Random Thoughts 3, Shaolin. Oh, Ether, Bizzle, Hit Him Up, Tupac. Explaining to do Bizzle. My top 5? My top 5 diss songs. I'd have to go in order. I don't know if I'd have to think about the order, but I would go Take Over, Jay-Z, Ether, Nas, No Vaseline, Ice Cube. I'd probably go, I think You Can't Hit 'Em Up, Tupac, and then I think Wangsta, 50 Cent, going after Ja Rule. I didn't even like this song, but it was just funny that 50 Cent was just saying that. So that's kind of where I go right now. I might change my mind if I really think about it. Does anyone have any critique of Kendrick? Because most of it is that Drake, when Kendrick has professed to be a believer. I think a lot of people have critique for Kendrick But I don't think people are processing this. I mean, that's a great question. I don't think people are processing this beef in light of Kendrick's faith or not. I think the point that people are making is Drake is the top of these are two of the top MCs, and Kendrick's probably the only person that can compete with Drake in terms of respectability and notoriety, and he just punished him. So even though there's a lot you could say about Kendrick, I think it's less about what actually is true, because neither of these guys, I would say this, neither of them have proven any of their allegations are true, but other people who have done research about Drake are coming out with what we call receipts that are validating what Kendrick has said to be true. But none of them ever proven anything. Kendrick hitting his wife, his woman or fiance, whatever she is, Whitney, having a child with his best friend and manager. None of that stuff that Drake said was proven. I mean, even Drake saying that he slipped him the information. Who are you talking to? But we're sharp around here. So I don't think it's about like, let's really look at the morality of the individual's character. It was more like, who's going to entertain us the most? And Kendrick just did it. And he chose the track that was like, boom. So that's what I was saying. The Pentagon also got hit in your city. Yeah, it did. But man, I tell you what though. Oh, that's a whole different video, man. I ain't even gonna say nothing. I ain't saying nothing. But yo, good points. Thank you. Appreciate it. Our kids are the biggest of this. Making light of pain. Yeah, well said, Rich. Very well said. Peep the last verse of Romans 1. I'm familiar with it. Thank you, brother. That's true, but I think Kendrick is shedding light on a various situation. He just said it like that to keep upbeat tone of the song. But to be honest, I think it's a changing of the guards. So I agree with you, but what I'm bringing up is not Kendrick's. I'm not worried about Kendrick saying it. It's how we receive it, right? I'm talking about, I think it was good wordplay. When I heard it, I wasn't like, oh, Kendrick, you shouldn't have said that. I get as a lyricist myself, like I understand the purpose of a punchline, and when it lands well over a good beat, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's like hitting a home run, bottom of the ninth, and you just win the game. It's like, whoa, the joint was ridiculous. But I'm talking about how people receive it. Not like what Kendrick, it is a serious situation, but there's not enough maturity. Again, and I'm saying this based on what I said earlier, that we are driven to entertainment, right? We're more entertained. We're sanctified by entertainment more sometimes than the Holy Spirit, right? So because we like entertainment, we get our cues from morality based upon sometimes what's funny and what's not. And if something is funny to us, we'll make room for it, even if it's evil. And that's what I'm concerned about. Yeah, we can't even use real words. We have to cover. Ain't that right? I mean, we could, but then they could be like, I could do it. I don't care if I get monetized. I don't make that much money on YouTube. But I just follow the protocol. So in case the channel grows, I'm able to, benefit. I don't want to have strikes and it's like, okay, we're not going to tell you. I can't say things that I want to say. So, like if Drake is a gatekeeper, he's being switched out, but doesn't want to go unless he undergoes certain rituals, painting his nails, etc. I think K-Dot is trying to take that spot that was being used. He could be. I don't know. Could be. I don't think K-Dot cares about that. I don't think he's trying to take Drake's spot to be Drake, to be in his spot. I think he's trying to embarrass Drake because he's tired of, he's been feeling like this for a long time. And the people on the inside know that Drake is just, I said this yesterday in the other video, Drake is not a gangster. You grew up, you had a bar mitzvah, my dude. You grew up with a white Jewish mom in a Jewish community, and until you started hanging around Lil Wayne, you used to say the N-word with the ha-e-ah. You know what I'm saying? So I think what's happening is people are just like, it's less about like wanting to be like Drake. It's more about seeing how fake Drake is, but no one having the credibility to call it out. And Kendrick does, and I think that's what's so powerful. Drake did say in the song, if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic. Well, that brother's just confessing, Drew Beck, CHH Arts from Toronto, his stuff's all right. Yeah, never heard of him. Slander is spoken, libel is written. Cool. Slander is spoken, lies, libel is written. Thank you for that. Appreciate that clarification. True. And please believe that they lied to us about Genesis Part 3. We want that smoke. Oh, you know, that's, I mean, you know, I can't get to you only that. You know what I'm saying? It's other things happening in the world, but there's more on they lied to us. There's a lot more on they lied to us about the Bible type stuff. All right, I'm getting out of here. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for any super chats and all of it. I appreciate y'all. Y'all got me doing hour videos now. I can't believe it, man. Whenever I see a video that's hour, I never watch it. So I'm not. That's why my video. I'm gonna have to start making 8-minute videos so I can get more views, man. People don't want to watch no hour video. Coming in, this is the last one. Coming in late, so you might. But what do you think Drake should do? That wasn't what this video was about, to be honest. But I think so. That's a tough question to answer because my mind doesn't switch to who Drake is. I think of as a believer, and Drake's not a believer. So if I were Drake, what I would do, if I were him, like I'm not thinking as a believer, right? If I were Drake, I just let time go by. Here's the thing about the culture. The culture, because we're inundated with technology and just newness and different things, man, this stuff is just going to roll over. Drake's not dropping it. I wouldn't drop an album anytime soon. Kendrick is supposed to drop in June. Let that just go. If I were Drake, you got enough money. Just be quiet, lay low. Eventually, people are going to move on. They're going to forget. And then Drake, you're going to drop a hit song, and then you'll be right back to where you need to be. I think our culture is, you know, they say the culture is very forgiving. I don't think so. I think our culture is very forgetful. We just don't hold people to anything, to any accountability. So I think eventually the accountability for Drake is going to fade. All the stuff that people are talking about now, it's only important because it's right now. You know, let something happen in Israel. We'll be talking about Israel again. Or let something happen. Let another UFO. It's just we have such a squirrel. Like we're just such an ADD society that we're gonna Drake. If he just waits the long. Look at Travis Scott. Remember when they had that concert and people died and they were saying his career is over and finished. He laid low. Travis Scott laid low for 8 months to a year, and then he came back with a new album, and now he's back to doing his thing. The culture doesn't have accountability or remorse or forgive. They just have forgetfulness. As long as you still can entertain them, they'll overlook some of your worst stuff. So I think if I'm Drake, I'm just going to lay low, let a lot of the stuff pass. Eventually, when there's no other replies and there's nothing else, Drake is just, people are going to forget about it. They're going to move on. And then Drake will show back up in a few months. Some people may bang with him. Some people may not, but some people still ride with him. So if I were Drake in this climate, this cultural climate, I'd chill. I would chill. I wouldn't post a lot. I would just lay low. Lay low. He doesn't even have to change. He doesn't even have to stop what he's doing. Lay low, and then time will go by, and that's going to happen. So, all right. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see y'all in the next video.